Okay, let's just get right to it. What does Google actually want? It's like the million-dollar question for anyone creating stuff online, right? For years, we've been chasing algorithms, trying to guess the magic formula. But what if the answer is way simpler than we thought? Today, we're going to go straight to the source. We're talking Google's own documentation to figure out how to build a playbook for content that real people, and yeah, also search engines, will absolutely love. So let's dive in. You know that feeling, right? You pour your heart and soul into a piece of content, you hit publish, and crickets. It just gets buried on like page 10 of the search results. It is so frustrating. It feels like you're trying to solve a puzzle, but you don't even have all the pieces. But here's the thing. What if Google's been giving us the instruction manual this whole time, and we just weren't reading it right? So here's our game plan. We're going to take all that confusion and turn it into a super clear strategy. First, we'll talk about why the old way of doing SEO is pretty much dead. Then we'll get into this whole people first idea. After that, we'll decode a really important acronym, EEAT. We'll also cover how to ask the right questions about your own content, the who, how, and why. And we'll wrap it all up with a new content playbook you can start using right away. All right, first things first, let's pour one out for the old way of doing things. Because honestly, it's over. Google's systems are getting smarter and smarter, and they're now built to reward stuff that's genuinely helpful. That means all those old tricks, keyword stuffing, writing 2,000 words just for the sake of it, they're officially dead and buried. And look, this comes straight from Google's own documentation. They literally give us a list of warning signs. So ask yourself, are you doing any of this? Are you creating content just to get clicks from search engines? Are you obsessing over a specific word count because you think that's what Google wants? Spoiler, it doesn't. Are you just jumping into a niche where you have zero real expertise? Or maybe just rehashing what everyone else is saying without adding anything new? If you're nodding your head and saying yes to any of these, well, that's a huge red flag that you're creating for search engines, not for people. And those tactics just don't work anymore. Okay, so if that's the old way, what's the new way? It all comes down to a really fundamental shift in how we think. We have to move away from being search engine first to what Google calls people first content. And this little comparison chart, it just nails the difference. On the left, you've got people-first content. It's made for a real existing audience. It shows off first-hand expertise. And most importantly, it leaves the reader feeling satisfied. On the right, well, that's the old way. It's made just to get visits. It's hopping into a niche with no real knowledge. And it leaves people frustrated, having to go back and search all over again. It really just boils down to one simple thing. What is the intent behind why you're creating this content in the first place? So, how do you know if you're on the right track? Well, Google gives us a few questions for a little self-audit. Does your site have a clear focus? Does your content show real deep knowledge? Does it actually help someone achieve their goal? But honestly, the most important one is this last one. Will a reader leave feeling like they've had a satisfying experience? That, right there, that is the new gold standard for quality. Okay, now it's time to pull back the curtain a little bit and look at the framework that really powers this whole philosophy. There's an acronym you absolutely need to know because it's at the heart of how Google's systems figure out what's helpful and what's not. And that acronym is EEAT. Now let's be super clear about something. This is not a single ranking factor that you can just optimize for. It doesn't work like that. It's better to think of it as a whole collection of signals, a vibe, if you will, that Google's systems are designed to look for and reward. So what does it stand for? Well, the first E is for experience. Have you actually walked the walk? The second E is for expertise. Do you have the skills and knowledge? The A is for authoritativeness. Are you seen as a go-to source in your field? And the T is for trustworthiness. Is your content accurate, honest, and safe? And Google is crystal clear on this point. They say it right in their documentation. Of all these things, trust is the most important. Think about it. Experience, expertise, and authoritativeness, those are the three pillars that you use to build trust with your audience. If you don't have that trust, the other three just fall apart. And that trust becomes absolutely critical when we talk about what Google calls your money or your life topics, or YMYL for short. We're talking about content about health, finance, safety, stuff that could seriously impact someone's life. For these topics, having strong EEAT isn't just a nice to have. No, it's absolutely essential. Okay, so this EEAT stuff sounds great in theory, but how do you actually apply it to your work?
Well, Google gives us a really simple but powerful way to think about it. It just boils down to asking yourself three simple questions: who, how, and why.
First up, who created the content? I mean, is it obvious to someone visiting your site who wrote this stuff? Simple things like clear author names, bylines that link out to a bio showing off their expertise, these are huge signals of trust. It helps people almost instantly get a feel for the experience and expertise behind your work. Next question, how was the content created? This is all about being transparent. So if you're reviewing a product, show people how you tested it. If you're using AI to help out, just say so. That kind of honesty about your process, it goes a long way in building credibility and trust with your audience. And that brings us to the last, and honestly the most important question of all. Why was this content created? There's really only one right answer here, and that's to help people. That's it. If your number one goal is to be genuinely useful, then you are perfectly aligned with what Google wants. But if your main reason is just to manipulate rankings, you're already on the wrong path. So to kind of pull all this together, here's a final quality self-check. Just ask yourself these questions about your content. Is it providing original info, real research, or some new analysis? Is it a complete, comprehensive look at the topic? Does the title actually summarize what's inside, or is it just exaggerated clickbait? And here's the big one. Is this the kind of page you'd actually bookmark yourself or share with a friend? If you can honestly say yes to these, you're on the right track. Okay, we've covered a lot of the why and the what. Now let's put it all together. Let's build a simple, actionable playbook you can start using like today.
But first, a super important point. This does not mean SEO is dead. Not at all. Its role has just changed. The way I like to think about it is this. Your amazing people-first content is the star of the show. SEO is just the megaphone you use to help the right audience find it. The content has to come first, and then SEO helps amplify it.
So here it is, your 4-step people-first playbook. Number 1, define your audience. Know who you're creating for. Number 2, demonstrate your EEAT. Show your experience and build that trust. Number 3, answer the who, how, and why. Be totally transparent. And finally, number 4, focus on value. Every single time, make sure your reader leaves feeling satisfied and informed. So I'm going to leave you with one final thought to chew on. Just imagine for a second that Google and all the other search engines just vanished. And the only thing that mattered was what your audience thought of your content. Would your content still be a winner? If you can look at your work and give a confident yes to that question, then congratulations. You're already creating the exact kind of helpful, trustworthy content that search engines are built to find and reward.